Hey there everybody, welcome back to another one of my budgeting videos. I am currently on vacation. I'm staying at my mother's place. I did a road trip and I wanted to share with you the tools and books and whatnot that I brought with me so that I could keep doing my budget even while I'm on vacation. Now, my vacation was really low key. I say was, it currently is. I'm still on my vacation. It's pretty chill. I was road tripping, so I felt like I had an almost unlimited amount of items that I could pack and bring with me. Didn't have to worry about like a weight limit for a suitcase, things like that. So this is what I brought for me for this particular vacation, but I do understand that if you're going somewhere where you're flying or maybe you're road tripping, but you're not the only one in the vehicle, so you have to share space, like you might not be able to bring all of these things or they might just seem a little bit ridiculous to you. But that is fine because everybody vacation's different, everybody budget's different. So this is just what I brought. And I thought that I would share it with you in case it might give you some ideas for the items that you want to bring or that you don't want to bring if you're going on vacation this year, but you want to stay on top of your budget while traveling. So the first thing I did was I bought this pouch. I got it off of Temu. It was not very expensive. You don't even need to do this. You could just put everything into a Ziploc bag or something. I just wanted to make sure that all of my budgeting tools and books and whatnot were contained into one bag so that I wasn't going to have to dig around in the suitcase when I was unpacking to find the various things that I needed. I could just grab this one entire bag and everything would be there all together. And I got to say, excellent decision on my part because otherwise things would have been all over the place, and when I sat down to do my budget I would have been all over the place trying to find everything. I'm just going to turn it around. I already unzipped it just because I am holding the phone with the one hand, so that's why it's wobbly, and I only have one working hand for the camera. Okay, the first two things I brought are pens. Might seem a little bit obvious. I brought my Chimmy pen because it has multiple colors, and sometimes I do like to use different colors to either bring attention to something or differentiate between various things, and Chimmy makes me smile. And then I also brought this pen. It just says blah, blah, blah on it. It's from a set of pens that I have that all have sarcastic comments on it. This is the most polite one in the package. This pen is amazing. It writes so well. It's just a basic black ink, but it writes so incredibly well. So I brought this one because as much as I love the Chimmy pen, not all the colors work great all the time. And I wanted to make sure that I did have at least one pen that was just a nice, smooth, easy writing. I also brought my calculator. Now I do know that my phone has a built-in calculator and I could have just used that, but I didn't have to worry about weight limits and I really like my calculator, and I sort of envisioned setting up at my mom's table in a very similar manner as to how I set up at home when I'm doing my budget, and that includes the calculator. So I just decided to bring it along. Also, I use my phone. I'm constantly on it when I'm doing my budget looking at my banking apps, so it kind of helps to have a calculator separate so that I'm not constantly going in and out of the banking app. You don't have to though. You could absolutely save space by just using your phone. I just chose to bring this because I had the space, I was able to, and I like it. Next thing are some post-it notes. I normally use in my budget the square purple ones. You'll have seen them in other videos. This one I brought, I do like this one as well. Clearly it's longer, it's a rectangle versus a square. I actually picked this one because it's thinner of a stack. The purple one, it's like still very high. So this one I knew would fit better in this bag, in the suitcase in general. It would just pack a lot easier because it is much flatter. And I like it just as well. I've just used the purple ones because I have them, I suppose. So some post-it notes. Again, the post-it notes, not a necessity, but they're a thing that I tend to use often when I'm doing my budget. And because I was able to bring them, I did. This notebook is my cash spending notebook. So it looks like this. Now, the one thing that I forgot to bring is in relation to this notebook, and that is a ruler, which is super annoying because I have a normal ruler that I use generally, but I also have one that's designed for travel that folds in half that would have packed into this bag so easily. And I forgot it, and I actually need it because the lines that you see on this page, I've used up this page and I need to start the next one, but I don't have a ruler to make the lines, which is why I have not updated this book yet. There isn't very much to update. I did put deposits in when I did my last paycheck budgeting video. That's not the right words. Sorry, I'm trying to think. When I sat down at my mom's place and did the budget for my last paycheck, I deposited money into my variable spending, or like my cash envelopes, except for me, they're digital cash envelopes. So I moved the money out of the prepaid credit card that I tap when spending out of these envelopes. but I didn't actually update the book about it because, like I said, I don't have a ruler. My mom has one somewhere. I just didn't get it in the moment when I was working on my budget, and I haven't remembered to go and ask her for it again. So this book is not yet updated. I'm hoping to sit down in the next couple days or so and update it just so that it's done. But if not, honestly, it can wait until I'm back in Burnaby and sitting down at home on the weekend and doing like my budget then, because I'm not spending out of these cash envelopes right now. I'm spending from my travel fund. So they're not actually being touched. I put money into them, and then that's all that's happened to them since then. Next is, of course, my actual budgeting book. So this you will have seen in all of my budgeting videos. I'm not going to open it because I do have tucked just inside the trackers that I use for my savings challenge, and I just don't want them to fall out because only one hand. But this is the budgeting book that you are all very familiar with. I brought it because if I'm going to do my budget, don't I need the budgeting book? I kind of do. So prop that. I'm just getting a nice little pile up there. This notebook, I think you'll have also seen, although I don't know if I really ever show you the cover of it. I use this notebook in my budget for a variety of things. It's where I sort of work out solutions to problems, trying to figure out how I want to do stuff, or where I'm tracking things to make sure that they're being paid off properly. So I used this book when I was writing out my thought process and trying to figure out how I wanted to use my tax refund. I'll show you how I used it more recently. Where is it? Here we go. So when I did my budget, it was on May 19th. And then I started doing I put van to Edmonton. I live in Burnaby, but I don't know why I always say Vancouver. Anyways, but for the trip. So my total amount in my travel savings funds was $401.80. So I started tracking my expenses that fall under the trip. So for gas, I got gas in Vancouver before I left for $45.79. I gassed up again in Kamloops. I didn't really need to, but I was there and I always stop in Kamloops to get a booster juice. So Kamloops, I spent $31.75. At the time that I was sitting down and doing my budget on the 19th, I had stopped in Calgary for gas as my final stop on the way to Edmonton, but it hadn't posted to the credit card yet, so I don't remember the exact amount that I spent. So I had to leave it blank, but I know that I had to purchase. I accidentally bought an ebook, which I know sounds ridiculous. I was trying to buy an audiobook for the drive. I thought that I was purchasing the audiobook, and I ended up buying the ebook version of it, and I couldn't return it. So I spent $10.49 on an ebook, and then I also have the audiobook, and I also actually have the actual physical book. So I now own this book in all ways possible. But even though I'm not reading the ebook on the vacation, I did purchase it accidentally for the vacation, so I'm still counting it here to be paid out or paid off from the travel savings fund. And then Superstore, when I was still in Burnaby, I bought food for the road trip. I spent $67.54, but that is not all on food for the road trip. I did buy some ice packs for the car, like for the cooler bag for the car, and I bought other things, but I honestly can't remember. And the receipt is not with me, the receipt is back home. So when I get home, if I remember and I look at the receipt, I can pull it apart to figure out if there's items on there that can be paid for from other sources, not from my travel savings fund. But for now, I'm just counting the entirety of it under the travel fund. So the total so far of those purchases is $155.57, not including the gas from Calgary, because like I said, it wasn't posted yet at the time I was doing this. So that amount of money was paid to the Visa from my travel savings on May the 19th. Now, I thought that every couple days or so I would sit down and write in here any purchases that I made, just to sort of keep a kind of like a running, not quite in real time tally or list of what I had purchased as I keep going through the vacation. Clearly I have not, but I'm okay with that because my way of purchasing things when I'm on vacation is I solely use my credit card. I'm not tapping different cards. I'm not making purchases in multiple ways. I only use the credit card, and then that way that's the only thing that I have to reconcile at the end of the trip. So even though I'm not writing down in this notebook continuing purchases that I am making, I have all of the receipts. I kept them all, and on top of that, I also have the Visa statement listing everything that I have purchased. So I'll be able to go back through that at any point and list all of the things down here. Now, there may be a situation like with the Calgary gas where it doesn't post by the time I sit down, so I might accidentally miss something. But that's fine because it actually, you know what, it did. Because when I was writing all of this, I was just going off of what was on the visa statement and I was like, yep, I'm cool. Completely forgetting that when I was in Kamloops, I stopped at Booster Juice and I stopped at Tim Hortons, and neither of those were showing on the visa statement yet. They posted days later. So I went to go take a quick look at the visa statement and I was like, why is this higher? And then I realized like, oh, these things are delayed in posting. So it's just something that I need to be aware of, and I need to understand that for, I would say, up to a week after I get back from vacation, there's going to be the possibility of charges that haven't posted yet or like are showing on the credit card statement yet as popping up and showing. So I won't feel that I have the visa completely sorted until at least a week or possibly even longer after the trip. I'll just have to do the best with the information that I have the first time I sit down once I'm home and try to reconcile everything and just keep an eye out for anything that comes up afterwards. But this is also where keeping the receipts is really handy. I don't really keep receipts for places like Tim Hortons or Booster Juice, but receipts for other places I absolutely do. So those will help in that interim time before things are posted. The one other book that I have brought is this one. It's the most boring looking of all, but the most functional. This is my rough draft notebook. I'm not going to open it up because it is horrendously messy, but this is literally just the rough draft of all of my math, all my calculations for my budget, for everything. It's where I write everything out first while I'm trying to figure it out. And then when I'm recording the videos, I'm putting everything into one or of those three books. And that is what you're seeing. You see the end result in the pretty books. The messy work is in this book. So this is everything that I brought with me to be able to stick with my budget, stay on top of it while I am on vacation. I do want to say though that I am aware it is a lot of stuff, and depending on what type of travel you might be doing, this may or may not be feasible for you. So take all of this with a grain of salt. I was road tripping. I was the only human in the car. The cat came with me. His stuff doesn't take up that much space. So I had all kinds of space. I didn't have weight limitations like you have at airports. As long as I could carry it, I could bring it. So I was able to bring all of this. But if I was going to be flying somewhere, whether back here to see my mom or anywhere, and I was conscious of the fact that my suitcase is going to be heavy, I don't want to go over the weight on the suitcase, but I also don't want to have to be carrying something that heavy. Well, what can I take away? And I think what I would probably take away would be the calculator. I would keep one pen. And then honestly, I think I might only keep the rough draft notebook, but even then I might change that into like, like a notepad like this where like it's attached at the top, but not a sticky note, one that like tears off. I might bring a notepad like that, something like that. Now I do like keeping the rough draft with me or even this book with me because then I can go back to previous things and find information that I need or use it to double check past budgets to make sure I'm not forgetting anything in the current one. But that's also, I'm a very forgetful person, so I need to reference back to things. If you're not forgetful, or you could just write yourself like some really quick information for the things that you need to remember, but not actually bring the budgeting book with you. If you were going on a trip where like space or weight is something to be concerned about. So not all of this will be what you would want to bring. And also this is only how I budget. Not everybody budgets using the same type of books or the same layout or having things spread out in the same way. So whatever your normal budgeting tools are, if there's too many of them or they're too heavy or too awkward to be able to pack all of them when you're going on a vacation, you'll have to figure out for yourself which are your most important ones that you want to bring, or a way to just streamline all of it. Like I said, maybe just to one notebook or one flip notepad or something like that. But for me on this particular vacation, I was able to bring everything. If I was going overseas and worried about a suitcase, I honestly would probably just bring this notebook or even a smaller notebook and just have the first couple pages written down with, like the account numbers for the different sinking funds and any notes I need to remember from a previous budget, and maybe just write down like the names of bills and things that, just to make sure I don't forget anything, basically. Like a cheat sheet. I would make a cheat sheet for my budget and then bring bare minimum if I had to pack any of this in a suitcase that was going on a plane. But I'm not this time. So I was able to bring almost everything except for that poor little forgotten ruler. So I'm curious, when you go on vacation, do you bring any of your budgeting tools? Do you just sort of let it all go out the window and say, forget it, I'm on vacay, I'll sort it out when I get back? Or do you try to keep on top of it when you are on vacation? Or maybe only when you're on certain vacations? Like if you're off having an adventure somewhere really exotic or amazing, on those vacations, do you just say, forget it, I'll deal with it when I get home? But on maybe like a quieter vacation when you're going just to visit family and having a really chill time, do you take it with you? Because why not? You know, you'll be able to find the time to work on it. I'm curious because I took budgeting stuff with me last year when I went to England because I wanted to stay on top of it. I didn't want to miss any of my bills. I wanted to make sure that I moved money into my sinking funds on time, things like that. So, you know, like I devoted a chunk of time on one of the days on my vacation to doing my budget. But I don't know that that's everybody's way of doing it. I'm not really sure. Most of my friends in real life don't really budget to the same extent that I do. So when they go on their vacations, they just forget about it completely and then they figure it all out when they get home. But I know that I feel better after I sit down and I do my budget, just like day-to-day life. And I felt better on my vacation when I did that as well. Like I was just like, I'm taking an hour or so, I'm gonna sit, do the budget, get it all sorted. And I just had a noticeable feeling of relief once it was all done. And I knew that everything was taken care of and paid on time and everything was moved where it needed to be moved to. Now my next payday is on Friday and that's, I will be back in Burnaby by then. But I don't know if I'll have a chance to do the budget that day because I'll have traveled all of Thursday. And so Friday is going to be a bit of a rest day before I go out to a dinner with some visiting family. Hopefully I'll be up to doing it on the Friday, even if I'm not able to video, like to record the budget yet, at least if I can get it done. Because again, it's that feeling of relief that everything is actually sorted and where it needs to be and I don't need to worry about it. It really does make me feel quite a lot better. So for me, bringing my budgeting stuff on vacation actually helps to make the vacation more fun and easier, not easier to get through because vacation is pretty easy, but it just makes it a more relaxed time for me. But I understand that for some people it might. So I'm just curious for you. Do you bring your budgeting stuff and work on it on vacay or do you leave it alone? Which is the way that makes you enjoy your vacation better? Thank you so much for following me with my budgeting videos and seeing what I'm getting up to. I really do appreciate it. I hope you are all having a really good time with your budget. Everything is going smoothly. I hope if you are on vacation, that is also going very smoothly. I'm very much enjoying getting to visit with my mom and just hang out with her every day. It's been a blast. So I will talk to all of you in the next video. Stay safe, everybody. Bye.